All right. Good Monday morning, everyone. Yes, I'm here today, bringing the energy. We don't have technical difficulties, no matter how prepared I felt I was. But we hope you guys are all having a fantastic Monday morning. You guys are listening to Author Talk with me, Amy Russell Fern, and our lovely author guest is Lorna. So, you guys, the time change is killing me this Monday. I don't know about the rest of y'all. I was so excited about it, and let me tell you why. Because this is just how crazy Amy is. I thought when it said spring forward, I was like, yes, I gained an hour. I'm going to sleep. It's going to be so great. Little did I actually realize, because I'm just sleep deprived mother, I guess, I did not gain an hour. I lost an hour. And that's why I woke up tired as hell this morning with it being 8. And I was like, what is going on? And it's spring break this week down here. So my kids are home. So I went and picked up my niece this weekend so she can watch my kids for a couple days. So that was adventurous and fun. I had car problems yet again. So I finally got my car back on Friday. So if I did not communicate with anybody on Friday, besides Josh and my parents to vent about the car dealership, my deep apologies, because I was ready to just
Josh didn't do a very good job when you guys bought that car. I tell you.
No, it wasn't even that. I know, but it's like, you guys know, with all the chip shortages and manufacturing issues, all of these cars are having issues. Like, I wasn't the only brand new vehicle in there having issues. And the funny thing was it was a recall. They were supposed to put this part in that they hadn't originally put in, and that's all that it was. Then my damn AC went out again, you guys, and I somehow had a condenser leak with my AC. So it was wonderful, and I fixed it, and I'm just a happy camper. So happy about it. But other than that, going into this weekend, it was pretty calm and relaxing. Josh is out of town. He's down in Corpus this week for a work trip, which how convenient for spring break, and the kids are home. So it's party up in Amy's house, you guys. It's just a party up in here. But what all did you guys do this weekend? I hope it was fun and eventful and exciting compared to what I went through. So what all did you guys do? Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
All right.
So last week I was having a cigar in a cigar lounge, and this huge guy came down and sat next to me and started talking. And his name was Yahya McClain, and he is in Creed 3, the new hot movie out. He's one of the actors in the movie, and he couldn't quit talking about the movie, and he had just got back from Los Angeles for the premiere of the movie. And we talked a long time about the TV show Entourage and the premieres in that show, and how was it different for him, and how was it the same, and all the parties he went to after the premiere, and all the movie stars that he got to meet. And he is he was going to be at the Oscars, and he was like, do you watch the Oscars? And I'm like, no, I don't watch the Oscars, which was very disappointing to him. But I said I would watch the red carpet show to see if he was there. He said, well, look for me. I actually didn't actually tape it so I could stream through it and see if I see him. So when he asked me, I can say, oh, yeah, I did, or I didn't. And he has a book out, and I'm trying to arrange with Amy for him to be on our show. He's a 2-time world champion boxer, and in his book he talks about being on a cocaine addict until he was 2006. And so I'm dying to ask him some of the on the show some of the questions about that, because how do you become a world champion boxer twice and be a cocaine addict? How does that happen? So I'm dying to talk to him, and so it was quite a weekend.
Wow. That's
eventful.
Same thing. I'm going to say, wow, that's a story.
Quite eventful.
Going on there. I was thinking, whoo.
I like it. Yes, I will work to get him on so you can ask him all the questions that your heart desires to ask. Because that sounds like such an incredible story. It really just goes to show that you know, the mistakes and stuff that you make in your life, you never know the outcome that can happen. And when you decide to
I know
fix
he's a
those
huge
mistakes,
success now at 55.
yeah, right. Like when it's just you, when you decide to, you know, fix your mistakes or right your wrongs and stuff, look at the success that you really could have. So that is very much like a very encouraging story. I would love to read that and to hear him talk
And
about
he's
it.
quite a character. He's quite a character. And he's in the movie.
And he's in the movie. And he was
That's so
on my
exciting.
And
Well,
Fern's
I did
purple
watch
today.
the Oscars last night.
You did watch the
I did
Oscars?
watch the Oscars. And you know what? Normally, I have seen a lot of the movies, but this year I hadn't seen any of them. But I still watched the Oscars. And I was absolutely delighted when Jamie Lee Curtis won. And she gave that fantastic speech, you know, hey, this is for everybody, you know, that kind of thing. And I just thought there was a lot of really good moments and a lot of good, well, speeches from females. So I thought it was actually well done. And I enjoyed the whole show, even though, as I said, I didn't even know any of the movies. So that says something for the show.
Yeah, there was a lot of movies that were not as well known for me either. But I always enjoy watching the Oscars because one day I will be receiving an Oscar for the best adapted screenplay for my book. So that is my goal, and I will make that happen. I don't know how, but
well, the best adaptive. I mean, I'm up in Canada right now. I'm in Edmonton, and a couple of things. I mean, you talked about Amy, you talked about air conditioning in your car, and I thought, ooh, for us, it's the heater. If the heater goes, we're in trouble. You asked about the weekend, and I thought, well, it's pretty cold. I mean, I'm in weather. I'm north in Edmonton, Alberta, and it's cold. Like, it was cold on the weekend, and we were all like, no, this has got to end soon. It's March. Can't we get rid of this? So it is fairly cold up here. When you said that about the air conditioner, I was like, yeah, no, we're not there yet. We're not.
Yeah, well, Texas, you got to have an air conditioner 12 months a year.
Oh my gosh, yes, you do. It was like 87 on Saturday. You know, it was wonderful, but us Texans are not built for the cold in which you guys endure, because we would know. We're just, if it gets like 70 or below, we are in sweaters, cold. Like, it just, we don't have the
we were sitting minus 17. Well, that's, but of course that's the Celsius degrees, because we do it differently here. But it's still, you're sitting, that's way below your 32. Like, it's
when we get temperatures like that, Lorna, it's a national tragedy. Okay, it's like a major tragedy. You know, our whole world falls apart. We can't do anything. I mean, what was the temperature on that February that we had the big freeze? It wasn't even a negative. I know it wasn't.
No, it wasn't a negative. Literally, if we get a snow flurry, the cities are closed down, schools are canceled, we're done. We're just like, oh my gosh, you know, we can't. It's like, what is it, like Chicken Little, you know, and the sky is falling. That's literally how it is when we see a snowflake or an icicle. Like, the 100%. That's just how it is. But rain and flood, we're good. We're like, yeah, no, we can go out and cross that. We're good. What are you talking about?
Atlanta got like 3 inches of rain last week, and people were like, oh, there's so much rain. I'm like, hey, it's not 7 inches in a day. It's nothing.
Yeah, it's a good day. It's a good day, you know?
Well, I guess we all just adapt where we live, right? You just adapt where you live. Yeah. But I was thinking about that when you were talking about that.
Yeah, in Houston, we all have a little portable boat, inflatable boat. We all carry an inflatable boat because you don't know when Houston's going to turn into a lake, you know, a swampy lake. And so, you know, that's just part of the cars. When they sell you a car down here, it comes with an inflatable boat. And then, you know, if there's a flooding, you just pull out your boat and off you go.
I wish that was true, but you know, when it does flood, though, we do go out in our inner tubes and we kind of float it. Like, we kind of are just like, hey, hanging out, enjoying it. But in the snow, none of us are out. None of us are doing anything. We're not happy people. We're just not happy people.
Oh yeah, we love our city. I mean, every place has its thing for sure.
It's not a city I've ever been to. I've never been to Houston. I have a really good friend who lives in Dallas. And she also lives in Penticton, British Columbia, which is where I spend my summers. I don't spend my summers in Edmonton. I spend my summers in Penticton, British Columbia. And she's my neighbor, and they live in Dallas. So, yeah, they're back and forth all the time. One of these days, I said, I'm getting down to Dallas to see you.
Yeah, that would be good to come on down to Texas. It's
So,
a whole other thing.
Before we get started, I want to thank the people listening to us on the podcast, Lorna. Most people don't watch us on Monday morning when we do our show. Most people listen to us during the week on our podcast. We're like top 10 independent book writer podcast in America. We're very excited about that. You can listen to us anywhere. Amy, where can they find us?
Yes, so you guys can find us anywhere that you can look up a podcast: Amazon Music, Apple, Stitcher, Good Pods, Google, anywhere, Spotify, right? I know I'm missing some, but it's a Monday morning, you guys, after the time change, okay? But it's definitely one of those things. Russell had this idea 8 years ago, and we have run and turned it into what it is today, and we just have fun doing it, and it really sets our week. So we're still shocked, even though we mention it every week, that you guys listen to us, because this is just fun for us and we thoroughly enjoy it. And authors is a sweet spot for all of us. I'm not a writer, but they are, Russell and Fern, and Lorna is. So for sure, authors are a sweet spot for all of us. And so we are just humbled. We enjoy it. We love you guys. Thank you guys so much. If you want to catch our videos, because I am very animated, and so is Fern, and we control what comes out of our mouth, but not sometimes our facial expressions, and it's fun to watch. Or for Russell to go all time Nazi on us and give us stern, dirty looks, please go over to our Facebook group or our YouTube channel or any of our social media platforms, and you can watch the videos and have a good laugh if you want, and to listen to us and interact. We love interacting with you guys, posting your comments and answering questions and all of that. So feel free to go over there and do that. We would love to welcome you guys. But with all of that being said, Fern, I'm going to let you start talking to Lorna about her book. So take it away, Fern.
Awesome. Well, we are very excited to have you here with us. And one of the things that I always like to know about authors when I first meet them is, what made you decide to write? What was the thing that inspired you to become a writer, pursue it as a career? Because many of us love to write. There's many people that love to write, but don't actively pursue it as for publication. So what was the motivation for that?
You know, I didn't grow up as that writer, that kid who said, I'm going to be a writer when I grow up. But I love to read and I love to write. And I did write stories when I was a kid. I mean, I think I got my first rejection when I was 12 because I went to this camp and I was super excited. And I came home from the camp and I wrote out this like great little story and mailed it off. Of course, it was the day when there was no email or anything like that. Mailed it off and get the rejection letter back saying, oh, we can't use your story. And my mom says, who was that from? And I said, nobody, crying. So I really did love to write, but then I got into a lot of other stuff. Like I got a science degree and I was, and did a lot of athletics, a lot of sports. And then I was doing other jobs, and my husband we seemed to be moving a lot. And I thought to myself, I went, it's really interesting because we had just moved from Ottawa to Calgary. And I was thinking, oh no, like we're going to move again out of Calgary, like, because he was looking at these other jobs, and he's in the hockey business. So he was looking at, it's transient, can be. And so I went to I saw this sign that said a creative writing course, and I had to quit all my jobs. I'd been I had a radio show. I was on television. I was, had newspaper columns that I was writing to go with my shows, with my radio show. They were like anecdotal columns, and I gave it all up to move. And so then I saw this sign. I was in this new city, and I was like, this writing course. And I thought, I'm going to take that writing course. I'm going to do something because I got to do something. I had 3 little children at the time. Amy, you talk about your little kids. I think at the time mine were like 6, 5, and 3. So they were young. And I took this writing course. And in the span of 8 weeks, because I was a bit neurotic, like, no, I don't want to say neurotic, but I was a bit crazy about it. I actually wrote this really, 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 really bad novel. Everybody else wrote a short story. And I was just like, I'd put the kids to bed, and then 9 o'clock would come and I'd brew a pot of coffee, and I'd stay up till like 1 a.m. and I would just write. And it was really, really bad. But it got me to the point where I could finish a novel. And then there was that part of me, never sold. There was that part of me that thought, you know what, this is something that I can do. And if we move again, I can take it with me. And I don't have to quit all my jobs, and I don't have to give everything up. I can take this with me. Of course, we didn't move. We stayed there for 18 years. We stayed in the same city for 18 years, but it didn't matter. That's when I started writing, and I did start writing mystery kind of suspense stuff. And I got one sort of like published really badly, like not a great place. And then I started writing children's. A friend of mine was writing all these children's books, and she'd phone me all the time, and she'd say, "Hey, Lorna," I was in this writers group, and she'd say, "Hey, Lorna, like, what's an offside in soccer? And what's this in hockey?" And I was able to answer all the questions because I'd played all those sports. And then finally I said, "You know what, I'm going to write one of those books. I'm going to write one." She said, "Oh, you should, because I'm going to move off and do this other stuff." And I wrote one chapter in a synopsis, and I sent it off. And then and then the editor got back to me. And of course, she got back to me by a phone call, which my children had ruined the answering machine. They'd gone on the answering machine, the old days of answering machine. They'd gone on it, and they'd said they were fighting on it, because you're talking about March break. Amy, it was March break, and they're fighting. And they did it on purpose to be naughty. Like, you. And so I get this call, and she says, "Lorna, like, I don't know what's wrong with your machine," but I'm just like, oh God, they wrecked my big moment of getting something published. But she really wanted the book, and I finished it, and I sent it off, and we published it. And then from there, I didn't look back in the children's market. I just kept going with the children's market. That's a long answer. Wow.
No, I love it. Especially because it's such an unexpected, like, you picked this up because you thought, oh, it's a mobile profession, and we are kind of, and then you didn't move. And I just love the irony of that. Because
the irony of it. But I felt like I'd come full circle because of that love of writing as a child. All of a sudden, when I got back into it, it reminded me of what I had done as a child. I thought, oh yeah, like, I loved doing this as a kid.
Yeah, that is really cool. So you fell into kind of working with kids' books.
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the series? I'm assuming you're working in a kind of a series type situation, or are they all standalones? And if they're series, kind of, is there a specific?
No, I have many series. Like my 50th book is Wednesday, the 15th. Yeah, I've got the 50th. It's a picture book. But I started off with it was a hockey novel, and it's about a boy that has diabetes, and I started off with that. And then I wrote about 8 books in that series. They were more of a cast of characters than it was a series, but it was still all the same kids. So I finished those, and then I wrote another series, which was called the Podium Sports Academy series. And that's a YA series. And then I really wanted to kind of get out of hockey, even though the publishers were all like, write more hockey. I was like, oh, I'd like to branch out. And then I did another series that I have, and I did some standalones in between, but I did another series that features the Best Buddies Club. And I have 5 books in that series. And so I have characters that have high functioning autism, and one is born with Down syndrome, and another one has fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. So I don't know if you know what the Best Buddies Club, but it's a club where they put 2 kids together in a school. It was started by the Shrivers, actually, in the States. And it's in many schools throughout North America. And so they'll put somebody who maybe has a, some sort of disability with somebody who doesn't, and they put them together, and then they become buddies. So the books are written from 2 different points of view. So I have that series as well. And then, as I said, I have a nonfiction hockey series that I write. I'm probably on my, 6th or 7th book in that series. I think I've done 6, coming up to 7th. I'm working on it right now. So yeah, I write a lot of series. And then I have some standalone picture books that I write as well.
And your new one, you said, is a picture book.
Yes, it is.
What inspired it? Because it's always fun to see what the inspiration is for picture books, because those are very
Ooh, and I was always a novelist, and then I started writing these picture books, and picture books are hard. like they're harder than anybody thinks, because you think, well, they're only 1,000 words, or don't go over 1,000 words. So you're always trying to cut that word count down, and you're always trying to get it to like 6, 7. It's hard. But the one that's coming out right now is called What to Bring. And I, as I said, I live in Edmonton in the wintertime. Anybody in Canada will say, why would you ever do that? And I live in Penticton in the summertime, which is in the Okanagan, so it's very hot there. It's just above Soyuz and Orville. Orville is just below Orville, Washington. So you can go right up to Penticton. I could get to Orville in an hour and a half max, down to the border. So it's really close on the US-Canadian border. A very hot area. And there's a lot of forest fires. And a couple of years ago in 2020, we were evacuated. It was, I was up in my office writing, and this girlfriend phoned me and she said, hey, Lorna, is that fire close to you? And I was like, what fire? Like, I'm working. And I go down my stairs and then I look out the window and I'm like, oh my God, there's this big cloud of smoke. And I'm thinking, the fire is like right by my place. So then my husband was home and I said, hey, there's a fire. And then all the neighbors congregated outside. And then they came and they evacuated us, and they sent us, we went across to our neighbor's house, across the lake. So our friends were living across the lake. So we went over there to stay over there. And I sat up all night on the dock watching the fire from across the lake at my house. And I'm thinking, and finally at about 1 o'clock in the morning, I thought, you know what? My kids are safe. I have my animals. I got my computer. It's the only thing I took was my computer with my notes, my words, my books. I'm good. I'm good. If my house burns down, I'm okay. We'll just rebuild. It's all stuff. It can all be like replaced. So I went to bed and I slept. And then I woke up in the morning and my house didn't burn. My house is still there. But it just was one of those moments, that really clear, defining moment where I thought to myself, yeah, you know what? That's okay. And the other thing is, I packed a suitcase and I took the most ridiculous things. Like I took all shorts and no t-shirts. Like I had this bag full of stuff, and I thought we'd be back in the next day, and we were out for a week. And I'm looking at my bag thinking, what? I had to go to Walmart and buy some shirts, some t-shirts, because I didn't have any. And I was like, this is crazy. So that's where I got the title, What to Bring. And then when we did get home and all the neighbors got together, I found out from up the street, a little girl by the name of McKenna, she had told her mom she wanted to bring all her shoes. So her mom said, no, you can only take 3 pairs of shoes. She wanted to bring all her shoes. And she said, no. So the little girl in the story, it's called What to Bring. The fire's there. They have to evacuate. And her parents tell her, you need to bring a few things. Well, she goes up to her bedroom and she says, I want to bring everything. First, she says to her dad, well, I want to bring my sandbox and I want to bring this. And he's like, no, all those things are too big. You need to go pick a few things. But she wants to take everything. So she piles everything up. And then, of course, her mom comes up and says, no, you can only take 3 things. And then she sits there and she sees her family, her dad running around, her brother, her animals. And then she knows what she wants to bring. And all she wants to bring is her family. And that's how the story goes. So it does come from a life experience. And I don't know why I picked a picture book to write about it, but I did. I went with probably because of that girl up the road who wanted to take all her shoes. I thought that was an interesting little story. So that was the inspiration behind that book.
That would be me, though. I mean, and I'm 30, but if that ever happened, it'd be like my shoes. I mean, my kids and stuff, but my shoes, especially my leopard shoes. Oh, no. I'm telling you, no. I mean, everything else is great. I can replace it, but not my leopard shoes. You know how hard those are to find? So I relate 100% with that girl. I would be the same way. Like 3, what? Like, no, 3 different kinds, like styles. What are we talking about? Yeah, no, no, very much.
Oh yeah, that's such a great writing exercise to sit down and think about. Like in an emergency situation, you have X amount of time. What do you take? And as a family, you also have to consider having certain things ready to go. Certain essential documents and things and. Not very many people actually have something where they can just grab, go the key documentations that you're going to need. post
We did take our
catastrophe.
passports. That's one thing we did do. We did go find our passports. The other thing we did is we videotaped everything in our house. Like we had like a little bit of time, so we videotaped everything because it was like, our bikes and cars. And I mean, we took 2 cars. We left 1 car there. Or yeah, my husband down in one, I went down in the other. No, we took both our vehicles, but we videotaped like some of our other stuff. And at one
That was
point,
good advice from your
a
lawyer.
great big, huge photo, like this great big huge family picture. My husband looked at me and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I want to take the family picture of the family." And he goes, "Lorna, it's digital. Like we can get another copy of that done." And that is very true with the digital era now, right? We could have gone to the photographer and got that family because it was a pretty recent picture. Anyway, you were going to say something, Russell?
I said that was that would have been great advice from your lawyer to videotape everything, because if everything had burned, you would need proof that it was around with the insurance companies before they would have made payment on many of those things. So that's actually vital.
Like jewelry, everything, like our bikes, like we had like a lot of sporting equipment, right? You've got, I've got a road bike and another bike, and I've got like skis and stuff, right? So all of that, you're not going to take.
I'd actually taken my road bike with me if I'd have been in your situation. I would not have left my road bike.
See, that's something you would have taken.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have to think about like with the insurance, keeping those documents handy so that you can look at all the fine print post catastrophe of what they will and won't cover, because there's always something that you think is covered, but it isn't. So
it isn't.
Yeah.
But if you're a little girl, that's not what you're thinking about.
No,
right?
and that's why exactly.
Think about your shoes. Think about your shoes and your toys and things. And it's such an exciting
I'm
topic.
surprised that she didn't say princess dresses, because my daughters, that would have been the first thing. Their princess shoes and their princess dresses. Nothing else mattered. That's why I'm surprised that did not come about. But then again, they are my kids, and I probably would have said the same thing. So, I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, you would have taken the leopard shoes. I mean, it's interesting what you do does go through your mind, though. You do, we did all the videotaping, then I packed the bag, and that's why I called it What to Bring. And then she did, I mean, there was like, in the book, the illustrator did a brilliant job. Her name is Ellen Rooney. And I have to say, when I first got the illustrations, I was like, these are fantastic, because it is kind of a scary subject for kids. Like, it's not an easy subject. It's not an easy picture book. It's not this light and fluffy picture book, right? It has a little bit of a darker tone to it for a picture book. But her colors were like so beautiful. And it's published by All Kids, by the way, I should say that. And her colors, Ellen's colors, are so beautiful in the book that it brings a lightness to it, and it brings this, and her whimsical sort of like folk art is gorgeous.
Do we have the picture?
You know what?
Book?
I don't have my copies. I didn't get them for the interview this morning. I thought I was going to get them. Ellen got hers, and she posted on Instagram. I was like, well, I haven't got mine yet. I was supposed to have them on Friday. I think they got sent to the wrong address, so I have to track them down. I was quite disappointed for today.
We may have it digitally, because I think
you have the cover of it digitally.
Yeah,
I think I sent that in, but yeah, no.
Amy's new computer doesn't seem to be very fast.
Here it is.
Either.
Yeah, you guys. Good for you. Yeah, that's the cover.
Russell. That wasn't
Russell
true. I
that?
had to go to my tabs. You see all my tabs, okay? I had to get to my tabs, man.
Russell's
That's right.
Good. Yeah, it's called What to Bring. So yeah, that's just out in a couple days. So it is a nice little story.
Tell us a little bit about the process that you had with working with your illustrator, because that always is a little bit different. Depends a lot on publisher and how it's being put together. But what was your process of the illustrations and working with your illustrator to bring your words to life?
Well, you write the book, and then you edit and people don't understand this about picture books when you're doing a traditionally published picture book. If you're self-published, it's very, very different. But when you're traditionally publishing at a publishing house, you do your edits. The editor wants it, they take it. You do your edits, and you do extensive edits. Like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And because you're trying to find that exact word, because it is a children's picture book and there's not that many words, you really, really work with words. And then once it's clean, it goes to the illustrator, but it doesn't come from me. It goes, like, the editor sits here, I'm here, the illustrator's here, and everything goes through the editor. So my words go to the editor takes my words and sends it to the illustrator. I don't converse with the illustrator throughout the process, and I don't pick the illustrator. The illustrator was picked specifically, and we waited 6 months because she was very busy. And I think it worked out really well because it's a better spring book than it is a fall book. We waited 6 months because she was really busy, but she lives in Penticton. She lives in the area. And that was important because of the story. So they were smart to find her, and they very specifically found somebody that they needed for this book. So they do that. And that's not, I don't really have a lot of say in that. They'll send me her link and say, here's the illustrator we're thinking of, what do you think? But I'm sure if I came back and says, well, I don't really want that illustrator, they would say, well, that's too bad. We've gone a lot of work to get this illustrator. So so the process is not really, I don't really have a lot of conversations. So then they send me, the editor sends me the notes or the mock-ups, and then I look at them and I make changes. And there were a couple of changes that I did make that I thought, okay, this could be added here, or this could be taken out here, or let's change this. Like there were things that I was able to sort of say, yeah, I'd like this changed. And then, but my notes go to the editor. The editor sends the notes to the illustrator. And then in the end, once the book was all done, then we had a marketing meeting with all of us. And then I got to meet Ellen. But by this time, the book is finished and it's ready to go. It's ready to go. And we're talking a marketing plan.
Yeah. And see, I love hearing these stories because everywhere is different. Like in your publishing house, this is the way it's done. And in other smaller presses, sometimes there's more collaborative with the individual teams. Indie publishers, of course, they do their own and they work with their illustrator. So it's wonderful to hear the different ways in which these books come alive, and to hear, because I know for some authors, the decision-making process of which publisher to go with or to do it themselves, some of these issues could be the deciding factor. How much do you actually get to collaborate for your pictures? For some authors it might be really important to have that, and for others it's like, well, I just trust my publisher, my illustrator, they know what they're doing, kind of thing. I have another one too. This is another picture book. This one came out in the fall that I have, Good Morning Sunshine. This is like a biographical, so it's about Joey Moss, who was born with Down syndrome. He worked for the Edmonton Oilers for over 30 years as their assistant equipment manager. And it's a beautiful story. Now, I sent it in and it went to Sleeping Bear Press, which is in the States. And they published it, but they picked the illustrator again. Now, for this book, I didn't work with Alice. It's Alice Carter. I didn't work with Alice, but because it was a biography, I was able to send photos. Let me see if I can find one here. So I sent photos. See this illustration right here? I sent a photo that almost looked exactly like that from the family, because of course I had the family support, and there's 13 kids in the family. There were 13 kids. He was the 12th out of 13. And they had this like band that went and traveled around Alberta to all these small places. This is before he actually went, before he went to the Oilers. And it was Wayne Gretzky actually that got him the job with the Oilers, but he was in this band at first. So I was able to take photos and I sent them to the editor, and I said, send these off to Alice, so that Alice because Alice had never met Joey. So Alice was able to draw the pictures of Joey. There's the one of Wayne Gretzky standing there looking at Joey shivering. So he actually got Joey the job with the Oilers, and he was there for a long period of time. So it's quite a wonderful story. But I was able to send those photos down to give Alice an idea of what to
draw of Joey and how to draw this, right? So so that was a little different process, just because with the family support, and I needed family photos to send to her so that she could actually depict him properly, and she did a fantastic job. Like, I'm so lucky. I always feel really lucky with these illustrators because they're very talented.
And what this is a biographical one, and we know that the new one that's coming out was mostly inspired by your own
right
experience. Do you find that like, what is the thing that makes you go, oh, I think I want to make that a picture book, or that gives me an idea for this book? What do you find inspires you for these pieces?
That's a really good question. I don't really know why I pick the genre that I pick, or why I decide. Sometimes I think of a story and then I think, oh, that'd be a good middle grade novel, because there's more to it. I guess with Joey, this one here, I felt that I could have written a biography on him, like maybe a children's biography that would have had more words. But I just felt the picture book format for this one would have been a good one, because I felt that then children that are young can learn about somebody who's born with Down syndrome when they're 4 and 5 years old. And I felt that was important. And I mean, the line about having Down syndrome, I had to put that in there. And I tell you, I wrote it probably 80 million thousand times, because I was trying really hard to think of how I could say this for kids like Amy's kids that are young, right? Like, you can't have it too out there, but it is enough of a sentence that I think a parent then would be able to explain it if they're reading to the child. So that's why I wrote it in picture book. I thought that it was a story that would relate could be with children. So it is an interesting question, though. It's a very good question as to where the decision lies. Like, why do I want to write a young adult novel? I mean, what is it?
Because your choice of audience, right? Who am I really directing this towards? Who do I see enjoying this book or benefiting from it? That drives a lot of the decision making. And I think it's really cool how you took that, like, okay, I want young people to be able to understand about this disability.
Yeah, it's true. You do. Like, these ones here, these are books that have graphics in them, and they have text, and they have pictures. Well, these books specifically are for those young boys who are 11, 12, who don't like to read. So we're hitting the market of kid. I mean, in the States, you could probably do the Amazing Basketball series, and it would get eaten up by kids all over the United States. Get it eaten up by kids in Canada too, but it would be a very popular series, right? Because you'd get those young boys at the Scholastic Book Fair who then want to buy the book. And they're popular because they're short, they're sweet. And I had a boy like that. My son was like that. So I was always looking for those books that he would read, and this would have been a book he would have read. And I know that. So I guess that's another market, right? That's another, when you're looking at your markets.
And it's a powerful thing to do, is to bring in something with graphics for those struggling readers, the reluctant readers, because the reality is that facilitates it and moves them towards the higher text.
Yes.
And I mean, I remember having a huge conversation about that with my literary specialist. She was like, didn't want to bring in some comics and things because that wasn't literature. And I'm like, my sixth graders could benefit from that. We can get them moving,
It still tells the story. And I think what it like, when I look at these ones, they're followed pretty much chronologically. So then you get a graphic segment that then moves into another segment, which just follows past the graphic segment in the age group, right? So you're allowing the reader to read text and then get a break. They can just read a little bit of graphics, and they still have to follow the story in graphics, though. They still have to follow that story. And I have to write out the story. I don't do the illustrations in this either. It's done by a fellow named D.A. Bishop. He's brilliant. but I do write it out for him. I do write everything out, the dialogue, the scene, the numbers, the plays, all that sort of stuff. I write that out for him. And then he does his magic. So, but it does allow that reader a bit of a break, some pictures, some action. We try to keep a lot of it to the actual hockey action. So it's like, you know, it's fast, it's pace, the glove, the stick, everything. And then that works. And then it works. And then they can move into a little more text.
I love this discussion. And I know that it's starting to get time because I'm getting the glare from.
Who's giving you the glare?
That's how we
Russell
know.
hasn't even given me any digs yet.
We all know each other well, Lorna.
We do. We can feel it. We don't even have to look.
Oh my gosh.
That time is ticking. But I love this discussion. I love that you're focused on and giving resources to some of our reluctant readers and voice to some of our kiddos with disabilities, making it more understandable and accessible for them. So thank you for that. And I will pass it over to Amy.
I'm the good and the bad guy. Sometimes we need to switch this. Okay, well, someone else can be the bad guy. Okay, because I started
you have
off
the energy.
This is true. But no, I was going to say before I close this out, I know, Russell, I will make this quick. But Lorna, I love the fact that your books really do highlight a kid in every sense, whether they're high functioning autistic, which I have in my family, or if they are, you know, have Down syndrome or all these other things. And it's just, for me, I think being a kid is such a beautiful thing, and they don't see these things, but they, you know, ask questions and want to know. And so I think to educate kids in such that realm, I think is such a beautiful thing. And the fact that you do it so, just so much fun with picture books is amazing. Like, I love it. And I really am excited about, you know, what would you bring? Because I really am. I'm still going to stick to my leopard shoes. Like, that's not going anywhere. I'm going to hold true to that answer 100%. I'm going to hold true to that answer for sure. But this has been such an amazing conversation, Lorna. You are definitely one of my people. This has just been so much fun to talk about. Your books are amazing, but your passion and love for writing, especially for children's books, and, you know, just playing true to kids, I think is amazing. And so the passion, it's been so long since we've had that kind of like passion and energy, especially for children's books. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come and talk with us. It has been such a pleasure and such a fun conversation. So before I close this out, I'm going to kick it to last minute comments, questions, statements, anything like that. Russell, I'm going to go to you first because you were kind of quiet this episode. You weren't picking on nobody or nothing.
I was waiting for him to pick on me, and I didn't get anything.
That's because you had such great answers, and Fern had great questions. It was really interesting, you know, and you don't interfere with the team when they're doing well, right? That's just like a rule. I have a million questions. I wish we could do a whole show on your theory on graphic novels and how to attract reluctant readers, especially young boys. I just thought that I was ashamed that was at the end of our interview, because I would love to hear more about that. Number two, did you know Wayne Gretzky?
Yes.
Okay. See, that's very cool. Very cool.
I do know Wayne. I do know Wayne. Yes.
And you call him Wayne, so that's even cooler.
I do. Yes, I do.
And
he's a great human being. Great human being.
That's awesome to hear, because we always hear the opposite. And the last question is, where can people listening find your books?
Oh, good question. Oh, I like that question. You can go to my website, which is www, it's going to be really long, lornaschultznicholson.com. So if they see my name there right now, will you be able to put that up, Amy? Like, it's
I'm going to I'll put it in the comment section, and then in the description and everything.
Yeah, it's Lorna Schultz Nicholson. There's links for most of my books on my website. I'm on Amazon also as well. Lorna Schultz Nicholson's on Amazon. So that's an easy find. A lot of my books are in Barnes & Nobles. Like, I know that What to Bring will be probably in Barnes & Nobles, maybe Barnes & Nobles online. But it will be there. So so most of my books, and the Joy book is Sleeping Bears, so that's an American book. So it's definitely in the States. But website is probably the easiest place to go first.
Wonderful. No, I love it. I love it. And yes, I have that pulled up to put in the comments. Fern, what about you?
I'm just excited to see, that there are books that are being built around for reluctant readers. And I feel like that this is a discussion that should be had in schools about the importance of having these kinds of books to help move kids forward. Because yes, you can teach all the TEKS, all the reading skills through them, and allow the kids to have that support. So I'm very passionate about these kinds of books, and I love your work. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. It was really fun.
Oh, well, we loved having you. Well, you guys, we hope that you survive the time change of Spring Forward, because we're working on it ourselves. But we hope you guys have a great Monday, a great rest of your week, and we will catch you all next month.